Hello, this is Jeff Jarrett of NWA TNA, Total Nonstop Action, and you're listening to the Interactive Interview.
Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Interactive Interview on the interactiveinterview.com. I'm James Walsh, joined as always by Daniel Edler with our special guest, the chosen one, Jeff Jarrett. How you doing
today, Jeff? How you doing today, guys? Appreciate you having me on and looking forward to talking with you.
Thank you very much. Let's just get right started since I know you don't have a lot of time. First of all, what was it like growing up in a wrestling family?
You know what? Very unique. It's not your... I say ordinary average deal, but I don't know what ordinary average is. It's unique. Summers were a lot of fun as a kid growing up. I got to go out on the road, and in holidays, wrestling was always, it always happened on Christmas and always on Thanksgiving, so it was unique. It's a different kind of business. Certainly it's evolved over the last 20 or 30 years, but as a kid growing up, I saw a lot of unique individuals, so to speak, pass through my household.
Who were your favorites as a child and who trained you to be a wrestler?
I guess you could say a guy by the name of the fabulous Jackie Fargo when I was a real young kid, and then the King Jerry Lawler was a guy who was a mainstay in the area that I grew up in, and in his day was an unbelievable performer.
Did you always plan to be in the business?
You know what? It just sort of happened. I've got 3 other siblings, and I'm the only one who ended up in the business. So, I'll say it first and foremost, I'm a fan of this business before I'm anything else, and I think that's one of the reasons that I got into it is because I got a strong passion for it.
What are your memories of being the big baby face in the USWA?
Well, you know what? It was it was tough getting started because they say to help you with the last name Jarrett, or coming from a second generation, or actually a third generation in the business. It was tough because so much was expected of me at a young age, and then as time went on, I evolved into that role, and I had a lot of great memories and a lot of great times in my early years in the business.
How has being a babyface changed from back then to today?
The elements are still there. Society's changed, so baby faces have had to change with society. But the elements are there. Is that baby faces have to evoke passion, and they have to. The people, the fans, have to believe in the character.
Who came up with the nickname Simply Irresistible?
Good question. I actually believe the first guy that tried to coin that was there was a Robert Palmer song out at the time, and Mark Lawrence from the old World Class days, I believe, is the one who was the very first to coin that as it in reference to Jeff Jarrett.
What was your relationship with Jerry Lawler at the time?
At the time?
Yes.
You're talking about years ago?
Yeah, USWA days.
You know what? It was fun. It was pretty unique because I grew up watching him, and I watched a lot of Lawler's matches. So when I got into the business, to be working alongside of him was great, and it was also difficult at times. And through, I learned a lot from him. Not so much about what he told me, but I watched how he performed, and I really took a lot of the things he did to heart.
Has your relationships with him changed since then? Or?
Nobody's relationship stays the same with any human being. So absolutely, it's evolved, and Lawler went from a weekly performer here in Memphis to a weekly commentator for the WWF. And then I went to work there, and he was calling my matches. So it was unique and a lot of fun, and I respect Jerry a lot for everything he's accomplished. And as every day goes by, Jerry still likes to wrestle on occasion, but he's got a passion for this business like very few people do. He really enjoys the core of the business, and you got to respect that.
What led to your initial jump to the WWF?
I'd wrestled in USWA 7 years, and 6 or 7 years, and I, I had had contacts with WCW off and on since for 3 or 4 years, and I just wasn't felt that it was the right time to jump onto a national stage, and I wanted it to be the right time. I was still working for the family promotion in Tennessee, and then the time came when I was ready to jump on the national stage, and I was ready to go, and Vince McMahon was ready to have me, and we were off to the races.
What were your initial opinions of the Double J character?
You know what? It was no different, because I view the business as a business. And I saw that Vince was taking a thread of someone's personality, much like he did it with the Percy. I mean, the Percy Pringle turned it into a Paul Bearer character, or a Bret Hart, or anybody else up there at the time. He took a thread of my character. I'm a guy from Music City that had some singing ability, but more so than that, I was born into a wrestling family, and that's what I did best, and that I was going to use my wrestling ability to take over country music, and that was the character development of that, and I knew that I do have a unique name. I've got 2 J's, and I've got 2 F's, and 2 T's, and 2 R's, and Vince saw that right away, and that's where the name spelling came from, and just everything unique about the character. We just took different parts of my personality and character and blew it up larger than life.
How do you answer critics that say you stole Ric Flair's strut?
That tells me first and foremost that they're not at all a historian about the business, that they absolutely know crap about it. Jackie Fargo was strutting when Ric Flair was shitting yellow in his diapers. So it has nothing to do with Flair and everything to do with Jackie Fargo.
Dan, you want to take the next one?
How do you feel about critics, people calling Road Dogg the real Double J?
I would love for them to well, this is an asinine question as well. Tell me what the real Double J is. Who was the first Double J? I was the original Double J, and if anything, wouldn't you say that he was the second Double J?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Your main feud in the WWE was against Razor Ramon. What are your memories of working with Scott Hall like? And not to jump ahead at all, but will we ever see Scott back in TNA?
I certainly hope we see him in TNA. But I have great memories, and me and Razor at the time, I felt had as good as matches as anybody in the world at the time. We they were a WWF style of match. I'm not saying they were a Japanese style or any other style. They were a WWF style match, and we had some great matches, and I wrestled him for about a year, probably 200 or 300 times within that year, and all over the world, from Israel to everywhere. So good memories.
What was the backstage feeling in the WWF when you left the WWF to head to WCW during the height of the NWO run?
What was the feeling where?
In the WWF.
At that time, there was a lot of inner turmoil going on and serious politicking going on, and there's been enough documented about that it more or less speaks for itself.
Dan, you want to take the next one?
What was the, when you originally joined WCW, what was the locker room atmosphere like? And at what point did it change?
There was a lot of new things happening in WCW. Everybody was geared up. Everybody was making a lot of money. Buildings were selling out. The program was fresh. Nitro was fresh. The business started ascending to heights it had never achieved before. And the momentum was unbelievable with WCW at that time.
What are your memories of being a horseman, and do you feel you were given a fair push at that time?
Memories of being a horseman, it was a short stint. No, I don't think it was fair, but you know what? Life isn't fair. It's not something I look back on and disregard, because, at the time, everybody was doing, and it just goes back to politics, and I think that story could have played out several different ways. But you know what? At the time, I was a performer, and I did all I could do.
What are your memories of working with Mongo McMichael?
Mongo, incredibly raw strength. He'll be the first to tell you he wasn't trained to wrestle. So, but the guy had some passion for the business at times, but he had more of a passion for life, and I respected the guy.
What led to you leaving WCW and going back to the WWF?
Opportunity, financially, and creatively.
How had the company
to the WWF? How had the company changed, and was there any heat about you leaving a year or so before?
No, there wasn't any heat. I did an interview earlier today. People talking about burning bridges. It's impossible to burn a bridge in this business. It's always you're as good as your last match, and if you can put asses in seats and get buy rates, you're going to be used and used well. So there wasn't any heat. It had changed as a company because when I'd left, it was more, I guess you could say, family friendly. And when I'd gone back, they'd got into the attitude era and were raising some eyebrows as far as sponsors and pushing the envelope, so to speak.
What are your memories of the haircut match?
It fantastic. I enjoyed it. It gave me a new lease on life, or new lease on my wrestling life and career, and I was all for it.
Do you have any reservations about the, I guess you could say, the women beating gimmick from the Don't Piss Me Off era?
No, because it was cutting edge. It was unique. There's not many times that you get to do a first in the business, and the Good Hags keeping match was one of the first that had been done on a national stage like that, and a tremendous amount of publicity out of it. And there's not many opportunities that a man gets to hit a 70-year-old woman over the head with a guitar.
You were close. Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
You worked with Owen Hart a lot during your time in the WWF, and you're in fact right on the pay-per-view straight after Owen's tragic fall. How did it feel knowing you had to go through at that point with that match? And do you have any funny Owen stories to share with us?
You know what? I mean, my relationship with Owen is very well documented, and as far as his passing, it's something that I don't like to reminisce about. Everybody knows that it was a terrible tragedy in every sense of the word. And Owen, and I said it a few days after his passing, that he's one of the few individuals in this business that truly had his priorities in life straight. And Owen, I can't say enough good things about him.
What was your feelings about doing the job for Joni Lawler, China?
We've already talked about that subject. It was a cutting edge, and not many times you get to do first in this business, and I accepted a contract offer from WCW, so the Intercontinental Belt wasn't going to do me a bit of good in WCW, so that's how it worked.
How much influence did Vince Russo going to WCW have in your second jump back to WCW?
He was influential. There was a number of factors, and financial factors, creative factors, and also political factors. I mean, it's well documented that Steve Austin was the top dog at WWF, and he refused to do business with me. And to this day, I don't understand why, because this business has got a lot of egos, but you worry about the bottom line before you worry about anything else, and that was not brought into consideration. So, there was a number of factors, and Russo was one of them.
How had WCW changed from when you left to when you went back?
Total chaos, total disorganization. The biggest difference, and I've always said it is that WCW was corporately run, so you never had one boss. You had 4 or 5 bosses vying for power and political jockeying, and it was essentially doomed for disaster from the day it opens its doors. For that reason and that reason only.
You muttered slap nuts at Ming during a live edition of Nitro. Where did that come from, and did you expect it to catch on like it did?
I always had laughed to myself, the couple of, I guess there's a month or two leading up to that, and you know what, it was something thrown out there, and let's see what kind of reaction, and myself and WCW saw the immediate reaction. I got some inner turmoil from it, because people didn't know what a slap nut was, but then it took off from a marketing standpoint.
You had a classic ladder match with Chris Benoit at Starrcade '99. Do you have any memories of that match?
I know that it was a match that was. When I woke up that morning, I didn't expect to be going into a ladder match. Scott Hall was originally supposed to be in that match, so when I got put in that match, it was something that I enjoyed going out there, and it was a very spontaneous reaction, and one I enjoyed it.
What are your memories of the Legends Nitro when you wrestled Tito Santana, George Animal Steel, and Jimmy Snuka?
All but the last name. No, it was a unique, and I mean that was a unique Nitro. Snooker landed on me, and it was I'm trying to think of the degree. It was the worst kind of concussion you can have, and concussion is basically a swelling of the brain.
Right.
So from a health standpoint, it was a disaster that night. It kept me, I guess it kept me lightheaded for upwards of 4 to 6 months. So that's the main thing I remember about that night. Other than that, I remember the Tennessee Titans that beat the Buffalo Bills the day before, and those guys were, those Buffalo fans did not forget about it, and I certainly didn't let them.
Yeah, I think that's why you wore the jersey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When Vince Russo was phased out, what were your opinions of that, and did you have any animosity towards the at the time current booking committee?
No, it wasn't, because it wasn't any one member's fault. It was the system's fault, and my belief was if you're going to bring a guy in, let him do his job and get behind him, support him 100%. They never supported him or anyone in that role 100%, and that's why they were in the position they were at the end.
How was Kevin Sullivan as a booker?
Same position. He was never supported fully 100%, and so nobody really got to see their vision filled out.
How do you feel the NWO version that you were in was successful? How successful do you feel that was?
You know what? It wasn't. It goes back to what I said. It wasn't a first.
Right.
It was a second or a third or a fourth or whatever number it was. That's the main thing that hurt it.
What's your opinions of Eric Bischoff when he came back to the company?
It's almost ditto on all the WCW answers. Him, once again, he wasn't supported fully. People were pulling at all strings against him. The opportunity wasn't there, and I think he was promised things that were never delivered, and all of those things at WCW, it was very, very chaotic. I think Eric was in the right place at the right time and got the right opportunity, and he seized that opportunity, and was successful for a short period of time. But he was definitely successful.
How does winning the WCW World Title rank in your career highlights?
Oh, it's right up there. The WCW title, I guess, has lineage to the title I now hold, and a guy was telling me a couple of weeks ago that I main evented 7 pay-per-views in WCW in a row, and they didn't think anybody had ever done that before. And that was during the world title reign. So it was an honor, and it was something that during a time of real chaos within a company, that was the thing I enjoyed the most, is getting in the ring, and that you didn't have to worry about all the headaches and the hassles that you got to go out and perform. And was I handicapped? Yes, but was everybody handicapped as far as creative outlets and execution outlets as well?
What are your opinion of rapid title changes, and what did you honestly think of when David Arquette won the title?
When you switch the title, it becomes meaningless. It's almost like if you had 7 World Series within a year, who would really care? Or 7 Super Bowls. You really got to treat different titles, and maybe not to that extreme of level where but you do have to have more reverence for it, because the viewer can then understand it and really become emotionally attached to the storyline. And then your David Arquette was the other
yes
question. How did I feel about that?
Yes.
People have gone around saying that the belt is only a prop, and that may be true, but it's the main prop. So for an actor to have the main prop, was it a mistake on one avenue? Absolutely it was. On the other avenue, Vince Russo and his parties were trying to get mainstream publicity and trying to get some attention back to the product. It accomplished that. In the long run, was it a mistake? Yeah. In the short term, not at all.
You did the 3-level cage with DDP at this Slamboree pay-per-view. Is that something you would consider doing in TNA?
Absolutely. That kind of we had the 3-tier cage with myself and DDP and David Arquette, but then we had one on Nitro with 8 guys in it. That is a very unique match. The stories, absolutely fantastic stories, can be told in that, and I'm a big fan of that type of match.
I'm not sure you're going to be able to answer this question, but what did you know going into Bash at the Beach 2000 about Hulk Hogan?
2 hours ago I was asked the same question. It's still in litigation, and I'll get to tell my side of the story someday.
Okay. Dan, you want to take the next one? I'm sorry, I've been hogging it.
And guys, we got to roll along here.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying to go as fast as I can.
Okay, when WWE's sale came around, how did you find out about it, and what were your thoughts about it being sold?
I thought, I had hopes that it would be sold to an individual who would take the bull by the horns and head it in a direction and not let it keep going to 10 or 12 different directions. And when I heard Vince was acquiring it, I knew right then that it was a tragic mistake because when there's only one wrestling, there's nothing to compare it to. Then it's just wrestling. Without a number two, there can't be number one. It takes a lot of the edge off competitive juices, creative juices flowing, and greatly disappointed when that happened because I don't think it was good for the industry.
Did you consider going back to the WWE at that point?
At that time, I really never gave it a thought because I was getting paid out of my contract, and by the time my contract was up, I had 3 or 4 international tours, and then the advent of TNA was on the way.
How did the WWA help to launch the idea for TNA?
They didn't at all. I think some people have misconstrued that, but they hadn't at all because the WWE, matter of fact, they're just opposite of what our business plan is. We are a weekly and the first ever pay-per-view wrestling series, and we're on every Wednesday at a very low price point, and we're storyline driven with reality-based storylines, cutting-edge action. Certainly we have some of the veterans and the older guys come in, but they're only to introduce new stars and segue the old with the new. And the WWA was just the opposite. They went off of older name brand value stars that, maybe the people hadn't seen in quite some time with no storyline whatsoever.
Right. Dan, you want to take the next one quick? Hurry.
What were your memories of winning the title, the NWA title from Ron Killings?
You know what? Ron the Truth was, first ever NWA World Champion. It was black, and I was a big fan of Ron's as far as an in-ring performer and his charisma and talking, and it was time for me to. But on the other hand, it was time for me to fulfill my lifelong goal, and I'm proud of that match we had, and it was a hell of a rematch, and I don't think you have heard the last of Ron the Truth, though.
How do you answer critics that say that the WWE stars that can't get over become superstars in TNA?
You got to be a student of the business, a student of the game. My best analogy would be that you say, well, it's our luck or WWF's misfortune or however you want to phrase it. But Steve Austin, without a doubt, wasn't used correctly in WCW, and everybody knows his track record in WWF. Mm-hmm. It's that the people have to have come along at the right time in their career, have to connect with the fans the right way, have to be doing the right things, and timing's, not everything, but it's a lot in this industry, so that's my reply.
The big show is tomorrow night, you against Raven. What else can we expect from that show?
You never know what you expect. That's one of the things about TNA that makes it unique, in that you tune in on Wednesday nights for 2 hours of total nonstop action, and we truly are, we give you our whole ball of wax on Wednesdays for 2 hours. To be a real TNA fan, you got to invest 2 hours on Wednesdays. You don't have to invest 7 hours or 6-7 hours a week and then wait for your once-a-month payoffs. We give it to you every Wednesday night, and tomorrow's going to be no exception, and I'm really looking forward to it. I guess the critics are saying the most anticipated match in TNA history, and I'm just hoping that I can get in there and have a hell of a performance.
What is your gut reaction to Roddy Piper's infamous promo from TNA?
Fantastic. Live television. I said it before, the comment he made about someone, and I don't want to bring it back up. I thought that was totally out of line, but you know what? That's Roddy, and that's okay. It was real TV, unscripted. It was real as you can get, and that's Roddy.
A lot of TNA superstars we had on the show say they want to be in a video game. Would you guys look into that in the future?
Currently, there's talks with several companies, and the deal has to be right, and I'm looking forward to it as well.
Is there going to be a TNA training camp?
That has been in talks for hell, months and months and months. That's going to have to be a situation that's going to have to work from a financial standpoint, but I believe once the doors are open, it's going to be something that's going to be truly something that the real serious at heart guy who's interested or girl who's interested in this business will want to be a part of.
MLW has scored a television deal, at least somewhat. Do you consider them a threat, and what do you think of their television shows?
I hadn't seen their show, and I really can't even comment on them to give you any kind of feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. So I'm not familiar with their product.
So to quickly wrap this up, we're going to do word associations just to rattle this off, because I know you're really short on time.
Yeah, matter of fact, they're standing at my door. I gotta go.
Okay. All right. Should we do this, or do you want to just end it
Yeah,
there?
let's run through it real quick.
Okay, Vince McMahon.
Promoter with capital letters.
DDP.
Hard worker.
Jerry Jarrett.
Unique promoter.
Steve Austin.
Hard worker. He was a hard, I mean, that's maybe shortchanged. A red hot character at one time too.
Next up is Jim Ross.
A politicianer who wouldn't get my vote.
Vince Russo.
Very creative.
Eric Bischoff.
Super salesman.
Missy Hyatt.
Legendary.
Deborah McMichael.
She definitely knows what she wants, and she gets it most of the time.
James the Chicken Plucker from Kentucky.
Infamous.
Jay Hossman.
Can't go on record and say anything about that.
Okay. Sean Waltman.
Good friend, good talent.
Trinity.
Breakout star.
Kurt Hennig.
Who?
Kurt Hennig.
Phenomenal performer.
The Honky Tonk Man.
Blonde bomber. That's what I remember him as growing up.
How do you answer his claims that you stole his gimmick?
Laughable.
Hulk Hogan.
Track record speaks for itself. Unbelievable.
And the last one's Owen Hart, but I know you probably don't want to go into that.
Yeah. True friend.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much for this interview. I'm sorry to, put you out against the wall.
Sorry to cut you guys short.
All right. Thank you very much, and stay tuned for more from the interactive interview.
Enjoying what you're hearing? Be sure and check out WrestlingEpicenter.com on social media at Facebook.com/WrestlingEpicenter, on Twitter at James Epicenter, and of course, WrestlingEpicenter.com for 24-hour news updates, our interview archives, and all the other information you've come to expect from the Wrestling Epicenter.